Hey guys, Boris here. The regionals has concluded, and what an exciting weekend of TFT did we get to experience. Congratulations to all the winners and players advancing to the Worlds. The current roster is looking very stacked, and I cannot wait to see what the China will bring forth as well. Now, if you take a look here at the Americas, congratulations to Marcel P for winning out, playing some quite exciting games and sometimes flipping it all the way to secure a first place, as you sometimes have to do in these checkmate lobbies. But a performance that stood out most was the Cambulee's consistent streak of 5 games, securing a second place in the final lobby and as such coming out as the overall points winner in the tournament. Therefore, let's jump in game with him and see what's behind his consistency. Now this is going to be the 5th game of the final lobby, and at this point Cambulee is already in check with 25 points. Therefore, he's going to be going for a play that could potentially secure him the final win, playing sometimes into the risks and variance. Therefore, let's see how he manages to approach it and what was behind his consistency. Starting out here with a Loris and a GP, generally these are not exactly the tricos that will give you the most direction. Checking the Void mod if you do happen to have the Adrenaline modules could be playing into the Zoe reroll. Otherwise, playing around this Jarvan pairs, that's one way you can go for a high cap board such as the Rise, also with the Void stuff already presented. For us, going to be looking to pair this Jarvan with the Defenders, holding on to the Kog'Maw pair as a potential out as well. Still opting to hold on to the Loris pair, as that can pair with the Xin Zhao if we do get dropped that, or also play into a potential Zoe reroll line if we opted to. A glove could also signal us for potential to go for, especially if it took something like the Crown's Will here to give us the Rod. Would have the Chain Vest as well for a Leona's Stone Plate. Now, Speedy Double Kill would be an option if we wanted to play for a streak, but we unfortunately do not have a particularly strong board at this moment. Would have to scout around, see if there are any players playing from the open where we could still potentially tempo. Gold Destiny is quite weak, I believe, on 2-1. Definitely can toss you an augment that you are simply not able to play around. Therefore, potentially could be leaning for Speedy Double Kills. That is the more risky play, but has the upside. If you're able to cash out, you are able to get there, and this is Silver Scrapes. Therefore, realistically, the counter is only going to be kicking in for the final 2 players. Instead, going to pass upon that, do see the calculated loss. Could be playing from the loss streak point of our own. Warpath, you just simply cannot click this in such a high tempo final lobby. Therefore, probably going to be slipping the Gold Destiny again. Going to give a scout around, see if there are any other players playing open. We see that there's one player with only a Kiana has made 10 already, so they could be playing for this loss streak potential. Other players seem to be playing more around tempo. And Earths, this is generally an augment you would want to take more from a multiple emblems presented for yourselves, but we see that there's only seems to be one player going for this full open strategy. Others have settings like Slam, and we have this Hero Virgo augment. Clear Mind there, that is a player that we will have to watch out. They could also simply open sell on us. Opted to make the Jarvan too, but we could just sell it here to make 20 if we see that there is an open player in our pool. See the Speedy Double Kill here instead from Broseph playing for that LeBlanc reroll. A way to cap the boarding, can definitely cap quite high. We do get Q into Kai Wang, but who is the open player, but they have the Sona too, so potentially they should be having a little bit more damage, especially with the 2 units on their board, and that is great for us. We're able to secure the loss. Now the question is, are we going to opt to go for a Bard roll since we have queued into the weaker player, building our bench, so we are going to use our free rolls to roll for a Bard, generate extra resources that way. Could just also be playing Bard. Quickly check the Piltover module, did not see either Blast Shields or Continuum Cogs that would signal as one of the stronger ones. Slotting in the Bruisers here, I'm going to go for a LeBlanc unlock with the Void Staff. See that we are fine to slam here against Setsuko, who is playing also in this kind of a LeBlanc line. Could potentially be either transitioning onto a Mel as well with the Seraphim Staff. A very strong combination if you're able to get the supporting front line necessary. Since we have this open glove, we are hoping to go for a tier. So this signals that we're most likely playing for some potential fast 9 AP oriented board of our own. Most likely going to be a Noxus, which would be the easiest transition from here. Otherwise, could still consider something like an Annie if we do get offered that option. Opted to make the Scion, so we've invested quite a bit in our units already. Going to remove items just to see if it's necessary for us to slam. Still, again, capitalizing on the fact that the lobby is playing on high tempo, do not want to be sacking our board too much here. Wanting to be preserving as many lives as we are going to want to play for a fast 9. Therefore, we're going to probably looking for a hard stabilize on either level 7 or most likely level 8. Unlocking that Mel then on level 8 would be the most sensible thing if we're able to get an Mbessa. And then start stacking her and hopefully have some little bit of lives to spare in order to go to level 9. A treasure hunt, an augment that has seen more use in this reroll meta. However, it's quite expensive to get there, but has been nerfed from from requiring 20 golden rerolls to 16. Therefore, the upside is a little bit better now. And we complete the 5 streak, which is great for us, and we still have a decent-ish board. Obviously, again, this is the thing with these, especially high elo tournament lobbies, where the tempo is going to be very high. These players valuing their life count very much. Do get a JG that we could drop and a potential Protector's Vow for a frontline if we wanted to, but at this point we do not exactly have to hold on to it. It's still going to go for a Archangels, and the Steadfast completes a better third tank item, so nicely recognized that we can do so. Also, not necessarily for us really to have this crit on the Mel itself. Can find a source of it as later on as well if we wanted to. Simply Steadfast is a complementary third item, is a lot better than the Protector's Vow, which you generally would be often tossing off if you had 3 better true tank items. On the last augment, Trifecta, we're going to have to reroll that. We're not going to be playing for this reroll out. We see that the LeBlanc reroll is already at least 2 players considering playing it, so definitely one of them is going to be committing with that treasure hunt. Therefore, we're going for a fast 9. Could consider Prismatic Destiny as the next resource of gold if we do not want to flip our game on the sweet treats and artifact potential, as you can get some misses there. And we already have 2 backline items. Now, obviously for these fast 9 comps, you can use very many items, you have very many units to be itemizing, but we do probably want a more econ, what is actually going to enable us to both spike and secure our way to level 9. Indecision is also an appealing option in this sense. Could give us also another reroll on this Prismatic Augment that we could consider. Coronation simply we would be wanting to take it if we had an option to play from tempo from it, but we're playing obviously calculated loss, so we do want a little bit loss. Instead of going to go with the Prismatic Destiny, so the decision would have required us to keep sacking more, and we also won a last round, which broke our streak. This gives us a more clear direction of what we can potentially be playing for right away. And we do get the road overflow, which is quite good. And we're actually opting to make a board here. Rolled even a little bit to secure some units that we could be tossing in. And we have this bard too now that can definitely try to win us a stage. So interesting approach of this calculated loss. Said, okay, our streak got broken there, so we can now also make the Kobuko and could potentially play around 4 bruisers if we wanted to. Would require us to give up on the Noxus. So that seems like that we're going to value the Noxus buff a little bit more. And it seems like, yeah, we're trying to perhaps try to win as many fights as we can. We saw that at least the lobby is spiking. We can see the Setsuko already roll down here on a little bit on level 6. To try to continue streak. And we break his streak, which is great for us. As now, obviously, he has the Prismatic Ticket, which is going to be immense value in the reroll comp. However, he has to rebuild his econ and now make it to level 7. And potentially we'll have to delay that till the 4th one. Going to go for a tank belt here. Obviously, can become Nasher's School, but we did not have a JJ, so instead it's going to be a tank item for ourselves. And one of the most flexible ones to be taken rather than something like a cloak or a chain. Holding on to this Lysandra, and this is another thing that you could be playing for. If we high roll the Zillion, we could be potentially playing some Invoker Bruiser mid-game on our way to level 9 and then start swapping out and play around something like a Volibear Failure package as well. Going to lose to Broseph here, who has leveled to 7 and rolled down on his side. Obviously still wanting to be strong and trying to go for a play to cash out on this. Onto this speedy double kill. We do map out the kind of a Noxus board here. Therefore, we are pretty much confirming that we are locking into this line. Also plotted in the Garen there to be capping around the Silas. Double death cap is going to be quite a lot of power for able to get there. I'm simply just a little bit worried about mana generation opportunities here. Obviously, the attack speed from the rods is a little bit nice, and it allows us to now we are fully set for 2 set of AP items for our backline, and we could just focus our items on the front line. See that the single Ambessa has also already been pulled out, but you do need to be level 7 for her death to be counted. Sorry, level 8 for her death to be counting for the Mel unlock. To get another rod, so just going to kill the... Okay, we're going to kill that in the... in the spark, but he just noted already, you could not see, but he's even in chat he wrote, oops, we are doubling on the shred. As you can see, even when the nerves are at you, the top players do sometimes make these kind of mistakes. The upside is that we managed to complete a set of kind of tank items, spark not being the tank item you would definitely want to be seeing. But yeah, it is what it is. Now since we have so many items, the Staff Smith is not going to be so much appealing. Also, same goes for exclusive customization. We are looking for some kind of econ augment that, and we are looking to spike here as well. We're quite low on HP. Otherwise, Staff Smith would be quite good. Exclusive as well, but we have set of 3 tank items. Obviously, we want to get rid of the spark at some point, and hopefully Reforger drops. Otherwise, malicious monetization seems quite appealing if we're able to spike. The only worry here is that quite a lot of our units are being pulled out of the pool already by these rerollers. Portable Forge is kind of a flip. Explosive Growth, if we had that HP lead, we could be going for that. But we're looking for, at this point, we're looking for something that helps us spike. And unfortunately, we do not get offered a Prime Combat Augment. Therefore, we probably have to go with this malicious monetization here. And just simply full send it and that will help us rebuild our recon. For that reason, it's better than the explosive growth, as raw gold obviously has more value. Find that Ambessa that we can slot in, and just going to toss the Giant Slayer on her, hoping she will die. Going to stop here because of that as well. Able to find the Philosophics which Nigel fits our board, and playing around this 4 Bruiser frontline. As well as a Taric too that we have hit, therefore should be quite chunky. Our concern might be in a little bit in the damage department, but the LeBlanc too should be somewhat sufficient in this stage. Do barely lose out here to Robin Songs, also playing for some kind of Mel or Noxus Reload board. Going to dig deeper here now. Do you find a Seraphine that we could pair? Going to see if we're able to even pick up. Obviously, we would want to Disruptor on this Mel, but since we saw that our Piltover module is not something that we are exactly excited for, not going to be putting that in right away. Against a Kaisach to Juggernaut Rift Herald. The Juggernaut Rift Herald is just insane. Receiving that healing, that extra damage reduction. When we're unable to break through that, and our malicious monetization value hasn't been the greatest. Obviously, we only lost by 2 units there, but the last fight we lost by quite a lot. Therefore, the upside of it giving 10 gold, which is going to get nerfed to 7 gold coming the upcoming patch, has paid off quite a lot. Able to pick up a Garen pair from the carousel. Therefore, we're also single Garen away only now. Going to give up on this Fiddlesticks, as it's not doing too much. And picked up a tier just to find a mana generating item for this Mel, most likely. Now, against that, this seems like the video there everywhere. Just Noxus. We see this Setsuko with his obviously prismatic ticket locked into that reroll, kind of bullying the other players off. Like, hey, you can hold my units, but you are going to be having to play for this fast 9. Well, I'm going to at least try to secure placements. And the thing is that I believe at this point Setsuko is one of the only players who can deny the check, therefore he having to go for a win out, but his units contested is going to require quite a bit of luck. So yeah, we're mapping out the full cap of this board right away. With the Azir, perhaps there was Azir, I perhaps missed, but with the Rise and still going to level here on 9. Thankfully we're able to pick up a couple of wins there. Our board was not that weak, and we were able to capitalize on that, and going to just slot in a Yordle there to unlock the Rise. Able to pick up a rise now. Yeah, with the Azir here, you're looking for that guarantee. Able to find a guarantee, so we get this Silas as well online. Still did not have that much gold, right? This is the thing with going level 9 with only 30 gold. You do not have that much to roll. Especially with the 7 costs and all these units. Like, even if you go level 9 with 50 gold to roll, being realistic, if you buy a single upgrade, that's already like upgraded to 5 costs. That's 15 gold down the drain. You're probably buying other 5 costs, that's even more gold. And you're realistically rolling only a few times here. Like, we can see this turn even we rolled 6 times or so. We're going to downgrade our board a little bit, but we did not really hit that much. Now, still valuing the Taric as a better tank, but however, since our item economy is not the greatest, we are not able to have the Spirit Visage on him at the moment. Or we perhaps are planning to get rid of the Taric at some point, able to, can we lose by a single unit to this Robin Song's board, pick up a Nasus. That Nasus too should be a stronger tank than a Taric. However, since we do not want to downgrade our board and gamble too much, going to transition fully to the Rise and Mel duo carry, as we wanted that extra gold to be rolling into the Setsuko's board. Do get the Silas, unfortunately, in the weak side, does not get to jump in, but we have the power at the moment. However, this LeBlanc scaling here could be quite scary, and does take our backline, but thankfully the Taric is able to live through his shield, and Azir is able to help him finish the job off. Find a mana item for our, which will have to be Rise at this point. Since, well, we have a couple of removers, we could consider moving them, but we do have a Rise pair at the moment, which is the more likely hit. Therefore, probably going to be sticking on that. Do find that Rise too. Now on the 2 lives, we are hopefully stable enough. Definitely won't need it to win that last round. Still, obviously, but still knowing that the placement is a second, but it's still very scary to see how he manages to thread the needle. Like, this was the reason why it was so important in the early game to be securing these wins. Going to toss in the Shurimans as well for the Rise. And like, that's both securing wins and playing the strongest board throughout even stage 2, right? Recognizing that the lobby is very strong, we can get this calculus value. And by still playing a strong board, and a couple of units would have made all the difference. It would have been done before. Nicely get the position onto the Slayers so that our tank starts absorbing the most damage, and we get that anti-heal on them, so we're able to burst them down a little bit. And the Rise is obviously on them as well, tossing those debuffs on them. Going to be closing in on the top 4, but the lobby is very, very close. As you could, this was a very characteristic thing in many of these regional games. As you can see, the players are equally matched. They're playing correctly around their spikes, and not a single player is high rolling absolutely immensely. This is simply the most exciting TFT to be watching. Do find a Silas too, but still no Mel 2 in sight. So could we perhaps consider moving the items around onto the Silas too? Going to pick up a D-Claw, so now we're set with a better set of tank items. Interesting that he still opts to keep this Spark on this Taric rather than having 3 true tank items on him. Because obviously the Sunfire and the Spark are not the truest of the tank items. Their utility has to be compensated in some way for the... has to be compensated in some way. Obviously the Spirit Visage made some sense to be tossed onto the Swain in order to generate him mana, but the Mel Princess our Radiant Vow, which is just absolutely insane for us. And we do transition into the Renekton 2 / switch off that Nasus and transition our AP items onto the Silas, so now we're out of the removers. Just wanting to secure as many wins as we can, as we were scared of this Robin Song's AD Fast 9 board, but thankfully I believe that was only a Kindred one, so we're able to take them out, and now we're in the 1v1 against the Setsuko. The silver scrapes are kicking in, everyone forgets about this thing until it actually shows up on your screen, obviously. Do find that Mel too, but we do not have any removers to be transitioning the items. Sorry, we now opted to get rid of this Taric, as obviously Nasus has to be just as stronger of a tanks. Going to go for a last second slam on the items here. We are, our Silas is not on their weak side, and it gets stopped by the Arakan here. Therefore, this Rise is also going to be wasting quite a lot of damage before he's able to get to the backline. We do get a big stun there, but the Setsuko is able to take us out. And a bit how close this fight was. And the Setsuko having the scaling from these Seraphim staffs is able to take out. But just taking a quick look here at the positioning, perhaps there was something we could do. We tried to get this our Swain on their side, but we're not able to transition, move him fast enough. And that is quite kind of the difference in a way. Our Silas is on the wrong side, and also his stun came in quite late. As in, if he was something like a here, he could potentially just jump in here and stun. Obviously, the same goes for the Swain's one, especially with this Radiant Protector's Vow. He would be able to just burst a clump here as the Briar is going to be walking up, and this is going to be the biggest clump until, obviously, since this Darius 3 is going to live for quite a while. Also, the Silas not able to get the debuffs, the Disruptor debuffs are not there either, and we're simply still lacking some form of AP damage, right? We have an itemized melt too. We do not have, even with the 4 wands coming in, we do not have the items for ourselves. And Setsuko has technically only a single Econ Augment, while it is a prismatic one still. He has the extra durability to be able to stall it long enough for his LeBlanc, and has the Scion 3 being able to tank for her. But still a masterfully played game by Cambulee, understanding very much how to preserve HP in these very aggressive lobbies, understanding when the lobby is going to spike, how to spike, and even in not of the easiest spots to pilot, still managed to find his way to 9 and barely scrape together strong enough a board to go for a potential win out. I wish him best of luck of Worlds, and he's very exciting to see, and I hope that you'll learn something new from watching this, and I would thank you for that. And I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.